Greetings, traveler, and welcome back to the Lapis Kingdom. I'm the Blue Regent, and today we're going to be getting started on a new adventure. We're going to be doing some mining under the village here, and we're also going to be going on some exploring to see if we can get our hands on some more resources. So saddle up, and let's get started. So as you remember, last episode ended, we had found that cave over in that area, and we did a little exploring. We also did a little cleaning up of the roads in the village. Trapped all of the villagers in their houses so that they can't have any bizarre accidents happen to them. And today we're going to be doing a little dungeon diving and looking for some more resources. So there's, of course, the dungeons or the caves that are underneath the village here. We are also going to be doing a little looking for some more around. So let's see, what are we going to need today? Let's grab any iron that we may have. Let's make sure we have a spare pick. Got it. And then we are going to need, let's go with a helmet. All right. So let's see here. I'm going to bring this with us. We don't need these seeds. I'm going to bring our crafting table with us. Just so as we're traveling, we can make sure that we are holding on to anything else that we need. Is there anything else that I can see here that we're going to need to bring with us? We'll sacrifice these oak logs into sticks, and let's head out. Okay, so the first place we're going to go today is we are going to go to this cave that's right over here, that's right in the village. If you remember, the last time we tried to go down here, there was a bunch of skeletons, so this is going to be a little bit risky for us. But I have a feeling that this is either... Oh. Okay. Well, we are kicking things off with... Is that 3? Are there 3 creepers in there? This is like some creeper meeting happen. Oh, there are 4 creepers in there. Okay. So we exchanged creepers for skeletons. Hopefully we can get them to keep peeling off individually like that. Okay, that's fine. I'm fine with that. I am fine with a creeper blowing up and taking some of his friends with him. There's also a skeleton back there. That's mildly problematic. This is just how we're gonna fight them. This is the way to fight this situation. Is I'm just gonna let them take themselves out. I'm not mad about it. It's not ideal. Okay, alright. This is getting too exciting. It's also turning nighttime up above, so I have basically just sealed our fate. We are down here. We are down here and we are in it. Alright. Who else was a little stressed out about everything that was happening 10 seconds ago? Wow, that's a lot of work for this. I had a feeling that this is gonna be what I was gonna find once I got down here. So let's grab this coal. You can still hear the villagers up top whining about their current predicament. Trust me, my friends. It's better for you there. You'd probably all end up falling in a pit or something weird would happen to you. I'm certain of it. Let's see. Okay, so that's a little disappointing. I really thought after all that hoopla that we would find more stuff down here. Well, we did get some coal, so that's cool. So now we've got some torches. And let's see. Let's oh, I never put that helmet on. Boy. I tell ya. It's some crazy stuff I'm doing here. Let's run as fast as we can. Oh. Hey, thanks, Iron Golem. Let's run as fast as we can to our other mine that we know exists, which of course has a creeper hanging out near it. But if you remember last episode, I went through and got rid of all of our tall grass, and I don't think I would have seen him that soon if I hadn't have done that. Or at least it might have happened a oh boy. I've really done this to myself. Okay, well, I'm batting 1,000 on fighting creepers today. But that's okay. That's okay. You know what? Our goal this week is to work on improving this village. So, you know what? Maybe the creepers are just volunteer demolition teams. Let's pretend that's what they're doing. They are, out of the kindness of their own dynamite-filled or gunpowder-filled hearts, they are helping the citizens of the Lapis Kingdom. I don't even know. They're helping. They're doing it. They're figuring it out for us. Okay, so this is another really deep shaft. All right. There are a lot of directions that we can go down here. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Some water there, which is going to be a little bit of a barrier for us, which is pretty cool. What do we have going on down in here? Okay, so there are a lot of paths for sure, but luckily we have the added benefit of the formation of these caves being kind of funky and giving us some defense. So let's go down this water path. I'm going to build us a little road here. Mostly because I don't feel like carrying some of this stuff I'm not going to be using yet. Okay, alright. So this takes us, if you recall on the other side, we would have had to have like dug down a little bit more. Here's that zombie that was trying to see. There's our torches. So this is the easier path. See, this is why I like to go. So anytime I go into caves, the very first thing I try to do, first of all, I want to make sure that creatures. Oh, who jumped? Raise your hand if you jumped. I jumped. Oh man, that startled me. So that doesn't happen. So I always want to make sure two things. If there are branching paths, I want to make sure I'm not going to get snuck up on. And I also want to make sure that nothing's going to get the drop on me. The second thing I try to do is I always try to go the path of least resistance. Where did you go? Oh. Okay, so all right. So for now, dang, you don't need to be shooting bats. That's unnecessary. That's unnecessary. That's unnecessary. I'm going to kill this skeleton, and then I'm going to temporarily wall this off. And I will tell you why. For those of you who are unaware of what I just found, that is a monster spawner room in there. So we're going to finish our exploring first. Okay, so we're going to finish it. Now that we finished our exploring, I'm going to come back. This area that I've walled off here, I want to make sure this is all well lit. I'm going to eat so that I'm not injured. And once we go through here, I believe what we're about to find is probably a skeleton spawner, which is kind of neat because that is going to be where skeletons are coming from. So let me make sure I'm healed and fully fed. And then let's try to take out this punk right here. Okay. Yep. So skeletons are going to keep coming out. Oh, that's good. So that skeleton, these skeletons are fighting each other now. Let's get the third one going. It's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle to get in here. So I'm going to... You know, I said last week that we weren't going to be doing... We're going to have a lot more cuts happening. And that is before I realized that we were going to be walking into... Wow. I really wish I had made myself a shield. We're going to have a lot more cuts happening, but that's before I realized this was going to happen. So let's just wall this back off. Okay, you guys are out of control. Let's wall this back off. I'm going to grab this iron. I'm going to grab this coal. I'm going to go back up top and make myself a shield because I have really stepped into some scary stuff here. So I'm going to cut here. I'm going to head back up, make myself make myself a shield and some iron boots just so that my defense is a little bit better, and I will be back. Okay, so I've done some mining off screen, and now I have a shield, I have iron boots, and so hopefully this skeleton spawner won't quite be the problem it is right now. And there are a lot of skeletons piled up right here, which is pretty intense. So hopefully they're going to do most of my work for me. If you aren't familiar with, wow, this is noisy. There's a lot going on in here right now. So I'm just gonna let these guys kind of settle this out. If you aren't familiar with how skeletons work, if one shoots another one, they will just start fighting each other. So if you find yourself in a situation where maybe it's a lot for you to handle, try to get them facing each other, because that will solve a lot of your problems. Yeah, there you go. See? So that skeleton shot the other skeleton. I'm going to put some torches in here, so hopefully stuff stops spawning as fast. I'm going to loot all this stuff. Got some redstone. That's handy. That will make finding spawn easier. Got a music disc. This is... If you ask me... Oh, yes. Okay. Game changer right here. If you ask me... Two big thoughts here. Let me grab that axe. Skeleton spawner is probably the hardest spawner to deal with, first of all. Second of all, it's the best spawner to find to use for a mob farm. And so when we get to the point that that particular spawner farm is going to be turned into something good for us, you'll definitely see why. But basically, a mob or a spawner will continue to generate mobs of a certain type. So a skeleton spawner will continue to spawn skeletons as long as you're near it. And you can set it up so that it basically funnels all of the mobs to a specific place. And you basically have a never-ending source of that mob. And the more of that mob that shows up, the more chances you get of all of the various drops they get. And as you can see right here, I have a bow now. And that is because skeletons drop bows. And I think that is, hands down, especially early game, one of the best mob drops there is. Just because sometimes finding spiders is weirdly hard in this game, and you need their string that they drop to make a bow. And so, you know, if you're early game, you're hard up on resources, and you're also struggling getting going with food, sometimes you run into the dilemma of, well, do I use this to make a fishing pole, or do I use this to make a bow? And so if you can find if a skeleton will drop a bow for you, it cuts that decision making down significantly. And now that I have a bow, things like creepers are significantly less scary, because I can sit here and do this. And as you can see, there's a skeleton in there, but there's two creepers in here. And a thing that you don't know, when I was off camera, when I was trying to get everything going so that I would feel a little more comfortable fighting down here, I was running into creepers up above, and I just could not, like, was really struggling with getting rid of them before they'd explode. So now we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into these caves. I'm just gonna do a little bit more exploring. Okay, so there's just coal in here. So I'm not gonna mess around with that coal on camera. And if you notice, that other skeleton also just dropped a bow. And so that's what I'm saying. So a skeleton spawner will continue to produce skeletons, which then means that you continue to get chances to get a bow, which then means that once you get an anvil going, you basically have a bow that'll never break, because you can just keep using all of the bows that the spawner is dropping, the skeletons in the spawner are dropping, to build a new bow. So I'm going to set up this space right here and get it prepared to be a monster spawner, basically a skeleton farm, where I can come and visit, spend some time in, let some skeletons accumulate, and basically I'll have essentially an experience farm. Skeletons drop bones, which you can use to make bone meal, which you can use to get, or it's like a fertilizer to grow crops faster. So I'll have like a bone farm, I'll have an arrow farm, because skeletons drop arrows, I'll have a bow farm, and I'll get a ton of experience as well. So I'm going to do most of the mining of that out off camera, and then I'll come back just in time to show you basically what it looks like before we turn it into the farm that it is. Okay, so I'm gonna step away for a little bit, and then I'll be back once I've got everything kind of mined out and mostly prepared. Okay, so it's taken a little bit of work, but I basically have this very rudimentary mob farm here, and essentially what I've done is I've expanded. This is the, in my opinion, the worst part about doing this is the then griefing from the game. But I essentially expanded this chamber out by one along each wall. I then used buckets to put water in each corner, so there's a water source in each corner, and I still obviously have the last one to put in. Oh boy. This is a little nerve-wracking. So I have one more water source to put in, and essentially what that will do is that will cause water to flow to the middle of the room. Did I expand it by one or by two? Basically, I expanded the room, and I believe it might have been by two, towards each wall. And now that I've done this, I of course don't remember. But you then have to, and this is why suddenly skeletons are popping out all over the place, reduce the amount of light in the room. And that then makes it easy for them to spawn again. And if I can just get this to work for me, that would be great. Basically, okay, this is getting out of hand. I just have to rely on them killing each other for me. Okay, so throw this bucket down in the middle of the room. Then I'm going to wall this off real quick. Get this walled off because this is getting to be a little bit of a pain in the butt. Okay, so they are walled in here, and I kind of had to expand my walkway a little bit. There's just a lot of things happening at once. So there are skeletons now in the room just killing each other. So now, if I come down around here, I already made this pre-made path, which leads to this right here. Now this dirt block is where the center of the room is. So if I were to open this up, skeletons would start to fall down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of systematically make this lower, and at the same time, this is a lot. Light this up here. So I'm going to basically what I'm about to do, my goal here is to okay. All right. I'm gonna throw a quick cut in here real quick and and get back there. Like I said, it's a lot to do at once, and so give me 1 second and I'll get us back in there. Okay, so I'm back in here. I've gotten most of my stuff back, it looks like. It looks like I've gotten basically everything back. So as you can see, the way this works is obviously they'll fall and it injures them, and it kind of collects them all in one spot. That's loud. That's so loud. It collects them all in one spot and allows me to basically just stand here at their feet and kill them. And I get all these really cool drops, which is handy. And yeah, so I'm going to clean it up a little bit more, set it up so that they fall a little bit farther, and so I'm actually starting out in an even better position, and I will be right back. Okay, so this wall right here is where one of the pushed out walls for the skeleton spawner room was. So if you go over here, this is the waterfall we walked past, and so this is where the skeleton spawner room is. So we come around, and these are the chests that I stole from that room, and I basically created a path down here, and I created some more stairs here, and at the very foot down here is where our skeleton friends are. And essentially they're just going to be pushed by the water towards the center of the room, and that's where they'll then fall down this hole, and I can essentially just stand here and chop at their feet and collect everything that they drop. Now there are more advanced spawn farms that you can create here, but if you notice I'm collecting all these, I can also set this up so then I can then be completely untouchable by these guys. So obviously now the dilemma that I run into is I have to run back quite often to dump stuff off. So over the next several episodes, we'll probably have some situations where I'll basically take the time to set up a hopper system as I get more iron. I'm pretty low on iron right now, but I can duck, come down under here, chop at their feet. And I just broke my sword, but that is okay. So if you notice, if you remember, before I built this farm, this spawn farm, this skeleton farm, I was at like level 16 or something like that, and now I'm at level 22, which means that my level has jumped up by 6 levels just essentially by building this farm and then kind of hanging out down there and chopping at their feet for a little bit. So essentially it's a really, I'm not going to call it easy, especially if you find it early game, just because you probably only have iron or leather equipment, which makes fighting skeletons tricky. If you have a shield, it's easier because of course you can block their arrows. But you know, just early game fighting is a lot trickier. And again, if you're like me and you're more of a survival player or a builder in survival mode and less of like you have less experience or less skill fighting, skeletons are kind of tricky, and they kind of stay tricky throughout the game just because of their ability to shoot. But that is our basic skeleton mob farm. That's going to allow us to get a lot of experience, which is going to help us out with enchanting and repairing items when we get to that point in the game. So if you've ever found one of those and wondered, what do I do with this once I get it? Well, now you know. So that is going to be it for today. We basically spent all this time in this one cave system that we found last episode, but we got a lot of good stuff out of it. We got a bow, we got some iron that we've used to get a couple picks and some buckets out of. We got our skeleton farm going, which is nice. So now we're going to be basically unlimited arrows, which will be handy until we start enchanting. Also, it's going to have us unlimited bows, which means that we can repair bows. Once we start enchanting bows, we can repair our enchanted bows, which is going to be handy. And also, I got all of this material here. I got a ton of this mossy cobblestone, which is going to be really great for building. It's kind of tricky to get early game, so that's pretty handy. I got a little bit of redstone, so if I want to build a compass, I've got that available to me. I also got all this cobblestone. I've got some diorite, which is kind of cool. I like to use it to make it look like it's kind of like cracked plaster on the outside of buildings. And when we get into our building episodes, we'll talk about that. We also got a bunch of string, which means I can make a fishing pole, which means now I have another food source. I also got this cool music disc. I got C41813, so that's handy. I've got some name tags, so when we start catching horses or taming horses, I guess you're not really catching them. When we start taming horses, granite is going to be one of the colors palettes that we're going to be using for the Azeroth Kingdom, so I'm pretty excited about that. So all in all, this was a pretty good episode today. We didn't travel very far. Got blown up by a lot of creepers. That was pretty intense. But basically, you know, now that we have got the skeleton farm, now that we have some more iron stuff, things are going to be a little bit more handy as far as the survival goes. So that is it for today. Thanks for joining me on our adventures, and I look forward to seeing you next time at the Lapis Kingdom. All right, have a great day.